Good morning. Please be seated. I want to begin today with a paraphrase of the passage from our gospel, which might surprise you by its simplicity, but also by its depth. When Jesus and his disciples were walking through Jerusalem, the boys were enchanted by the beauty of the great temple. Jesus burst their bubble, saying, "You're impressed by this grandiose architecture? There is not a stone in the whole works that is not going to end up in a heap of rubble." Well, this verse has always stuck with me, particularly because of my love of beautiful buildings. I've been privileged to travel and see some truly magnificent places, ancient castles, ornate city halls, stately homes in Europe that stretch the imagination and take my breath away. I remember being overwhelmed by the city hall in Paris, the Hôtel de Ville. Not your typical city hall. The grandiose residence of the U.S. ambassador, and even the majestic palaces in the Loire Valley. And all of them left me awestruck. But what strikes me now as I reflect on those experiences and our gospel today is how Jesus invites us to look beyond the external, the grandiose, the things we tend to be impressed with, and to find something much deeper. I learned this lesson in a very personal way. Some of you have heard this story, so apologies for the repetition. It all began for me 14 years ago. I got fired. They said it was downsizing, but I got fired. And at 64 and a half, the career path ship had sailed. The corporate world can be tough, and suddenly I found myself faced with fear and uncertainty. I remember emailing my kids saying, "Well, the good news is I don't have to get up on Monday. The bad news is I don't have to get up on Monday." I didn't know what would happen next. But as life has a way of doing, it brought a surprising turn. My daughter emailed me immediately and said, "We are desperate for childcare. Would you consider moving to Paris?" Sure, why not? And so began 6 years of adventure from Portland, Oregon to Paris, France. I will forever be grateful for the opportunity to relive those wonderful memories of my own children's early childhoods with my daughters, 2- and 4-year-old. They were and still are precious, funny, exhausting, and rewarding. And although my days were very busy, I had a good deal of time to myself to explore the delights of Western Europe. I had the opportunity to visit hundreds of gorgeous buildings on tours, on private trips, on vacations. Nobody does awesome architecture like Western Europe. I was in my element, but as I reflect now, I see those buildings as a backdrop for a much more significant experience, a deeper kind of beauty I had yet to understand. Life in France was great. I was having a blast. I was making tons of new friends, going all kinds of places, loving every minute with the kids. And then my daughter announced, "Guess what, Mom? We're moving to Oakland." "What?" I protested. I protested and I groused, but move back we did, where I had to start over again to figure out where to buy groceries, navigate new streets, find a church. This was in August of 2016. A word to the wise: never go church shopping in August. Nobody's there. We Episcopalians somehow believe that we get vacation off. True confession time. The first church I visited was St. John's, and I was unimpressed. Not my kind of church building, I thought, and certainly not my kind of stained glass windows. Music is very important to me, but the choir was on vacation, so no joy there. I decided to keep looking. I tried out another nearby Episcopal church. Lovely place, nice people, but the setting was not my cup of tea. Then I walked into a third local church. It was breathtaking, beautiful. The architecture was everything I loved: classic, elegant, dark wood, complete with needlepoint kneelers, in honor of which I wear my pearls today. I thought, this is it, I have found my church. But then I went to a Sunday service. And it did not feel the way I thought it would. While it was a beautiful service, I missed the presence of female clergy and a more contemporary liturgical style. Right one is just not good. I suddenly realized that as beautiful as this building was, this church was not the right fit for me. I was lamenting this story on my Facebook page, as you do, and a friend of mine from Los Angeles posted, "You must meet my friend Susan Pierpoint." I think she goes to a church called St. John's. Really? Okay. I believe in second chances. Susan and I made arrangements to meet on a Sunday morning. You all know Susan. She is a force of nature, and I didn't stand a chance. By the time I left church, I was a subdeacon, a reader, a candidate for the vestry, volunteering in the office, and maybe thinking about joining the choir. As time went on and I became more involved in the life of the church, not because of or in spite of the stained glass windows, it was because of the community I found here. You see, over the past 8 years, I've come to realize something very important, something I thought I knew and have heard over and over and over again, but I didn't really get. Church isn't about the buildings. It's about the people. It's about the love, the support, the friendships we form here. When I reflect on what Jesus said about the impermanence of the temple, I understand it in a new way. The things we often think are important, the beauty, the grandeur, the stuff we can see and touch, they're fleeting. They can, and sometimes do, disappear in a flash. But what lasts? Community, friendship, love. That's what holds us together, even when the architecture fails. That's what makes this church my church, not because or in spite of its windows, but because of the people who make up this place. In the years I've spent here, I found a place where I am supported, where I can support others, and where I know I'm loved. Right now, in a world that feels increasingly divided and uncertain, we need each other more than ever. As we go about our week, I encourage you to reflect on what really matters. Is it the buildings we admire, the things we can touch and see? Although they are necessary, what would we do without them? Or is it the love we share with each other, the way we build each other up, and the way we serve our community? I count on this place to help me get through the week. I count on this place as a place to go when I need help. I count on all of you. Jesus said that the things of this world are temporary, but the relationships we build, the care we offer, and the love we give, that's what will endure, and that is the true beauty. I hope I can remember that. Just as Jesus was not impressed by the grandest of buildings, I too need to look beyond the external to discover true value and what really lasts. Amen.